Hello everyone and welcome back to another round of Tuesday Night Legacy presented by Spellhold Games. My name's Eugene and I will be your commentator for this round 3 of February 8th. On the left we have Michael playing his control list of lands, and on the right we have Alan playing blue Red Fliers. This is going to be very similar to the deck that we saw in round 2, but it doesn't have Delver of Secrets, so it's not a Delver deck. Anyways, let's get going. Alright, we see Michael starting off strong here with a Mox Diamond Thespian Stage pitching Dark Depths, second Mox Diamond pitching the, a Grove of the Burn Willows, and casting a Life from the Loam. So Mox Diamond, you have to discard a land card in order to get it to stick on the battlefield. But this is some hyper ramping here and setting up for the Dark Depths combo. We see Life from the Loam pulling back those two lands that he pitched for the two diamonds. And we see the Thespian Stage and the Dark Depths in play. Just a ponder for Alan. And so now he's all set to get that 2020 Merit Lage. The Thespian Stage will copy the Dark Depths, and it will create a Dark Depths itself, and the Dark Depths trigger will go on the stack. The Legend rule will apply and make the Dark Depths go away, but the Thespian Stage will have no counters on the Dark Depths. So here we see him going for it, and it's going to create a 2020. Now, the thing about that is the Wasteland trigger. The player who has the Wasteland can actually get rid of both lands at the same time. Alan's actually thinking about it now. He responded to the Thespian Stage being activated, and instead of blowing them both up, the way that the Dark Depths trigger works is it needs to have a Dark Depths in play with no counters on it for the Merit Lage to appear. So if you wait for it to fully resolve, the Legend rule applying, getting rid of the original Dark Depths, and the Thespian Stage going to the trigger, then you can get rid of both of them. You Wasteland the Thespian Stage instead, after the Dark Depths trigger has copied it. But it doesn't look like it's really going to matter here, as we're going to see a loam, a dredging loam from Michael, and he's attempting to cast this Life from the Loam, trying to get the Thespian Stage back to his hand. Brainstorm from Alan, and I know he's got a Force of Will in his hand, so I think he's just trying to find the perfect setup there. So Force of Will, pitching, looks like he's looking at his days. Yeah, pitching the days. Now, this is actually a terrible situation for Michael, as he has the obvious option of trying to dredge back Loam and trying to cast it each turn. But if he does that, Alan only has to worry about one spell being cast each turn. By dredging instead of drawing, you have literally no other options available to you besides your dredged card. Because it doesn't seem like whatever's in Michael's hand he's very happy with or can actually use it. We see a Murktide Regent coming down here. It's exiling the entire yard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's only 5 cards because the Days was already exiled from the Force of Will. It's going to get 3 counters because of the instants and sorceries in the grave when it did get exiled. So now Alan's got a nice 6/6 beater that is going to end the game in 4 turns if left unanswered. 2 mana is going to get him an Expressive Iteration, one of the most powerful draw cards in Magic right now. It's going to put 1 in his hand, basically replacing itself. It's going to exile an extra card and then put 1 on the bottom. So that Ponder, it looks like, well, he hasn't played his land for turn yet. He is going to attack for 6, and Michael's just going to take that, and then we see the Ponder off of the Volcanic Island. Michael pretty much at Alan's disposal here, going for the replacement effect of the Dredge, attempting to cast it again, choosing targets of 2 Thespian Stage and Urza Saga. Another Force of Will with all of that that card selection that Alan has had this game. There's such a small possibility that he does not have some sort of Force of Will, Force of Negation, multiple dazes. Multiple dazes wouldn't be super great here, but, just 1 for 1. It doesn't really matter the card disadvantage that the Force of Wills are creating, since Alan is drawing so many extra cards from things like, well, I guess he just gets to have all of that extra selection from the ponders and the brainstorms and the expressive iterations. He gets to draw for turn, and he gets to have that replacement effect of those cantrips. So Alan's going to be thinking here. I think he's trying to determine if he's in any danger here with his Murktide Regent. And he does have the Wasteland, so the Wasteland will hit the Dark Depths before it is even played. Kind of getting around the possibility he doesn't want to even run the chance of the Dark Depths combo being in play. Going to choose Tabernacle, Thespian Stage, and the Dark Depths. Lets that one resolve. Maybe doesn't have the Force of Will this time. But Michael can only play one land each turn. So far, he doesn't have any explorations, so he plays the Thespian Stage and pitches the Tabernacle to his new Mox Diamond. 2 mana is going to get him another Murktide Regent, and that looks like that's going to be the game there. Multiple Murktide Regent, each getting the original copies getting even more +1/+1 counters with the new copy entering the battlefield due to that being a static ability. And we're on to game 2 here. So we see Michael trying to start off super strong here. Ancient Tomb ramping him 2 mana for just the small payment of 2 life each time he taps it. Trying to get a Sphere of Resistance in play, but that is going to catch a Force of Will. Sphere of Resistance making it extremely difficult for the tempo decks to keep up. So a very smart play from Alan. Just an island go. Always a fun play for the blue deck. We see a Mox Diamond coming down and a Wasteland on Michael's side, pitching a Karakas. 3 mana is going to get us Valakut Exploration. Now, this is kind of a ramp card, kind of a combo card. It's not exactly a combo card. It's just a hyper-efficient way for lands to get a lot of advantage from playing extra lands each turn. So each time a land enters the battlefield on their side, they get to exile a card off the top of their deck, and they can play it if they can cast it, or if it's a land and they still have a land drop, they can put that into play. And any of the cards that are still on the stack from the Valakut Exploration at the end of turn actually just turns straight into damage. I think you can... Yeah, it's just each opponent. Oh, it's each opponent. That's pretty fun in a multiplayer deck, too. I did not know that caveat. But I guess that would make you a pretty prime target as well. All right, we see 1 Maze of Ith coming down. It's going to exile a Bojuka Bog. Bojuka Bog, pretty semi-useful card against the Delver deck. But he doesn't have an exploration or anything, so he ends the turn and shoots Alan for 1. Misty Rainforest going to get Sacrifice, get another island. 2 basic island, playing the Flooded Strand from his hand. And that's going to be a Blood Moon. Blood Moon is backbreaking against the land stack. Michael, while the Blood Moon is still on the stack, responding and wastelanding the volcanic island, so it kind of keeps Alan down, even though the deck operates very well on 2 mana. Blood Moon turning every single one of Michael's fancy lands into very fancy mountains. All of these non-basic lands, basically the only one in his entire deck that will still tap or do what he wants it to is Basic Forest. Luckily, Michael did have a Mox Diamond in play, and so he does still have access to colored mana, as we can see him playing this exploration. He's going to Life from the Loam, pulling back 3 fancy mountains. But that is going to catch a Force of Negation. Oh, the exploration allowing him to play an additional land on his turn. And Force of Negation, when it counters the non-creature spell, it actually exiles it. So it gets rid of Life from the Loam for good. It can't even be dredged back, as it is not in the graveyard. We see some lands coming down on Alan's side. A second Life from the Loam is going to get those same cards back, the 2 Wasteland and the Bojuka Bog. Trying to cast another exploration. Looks like there's a little bit of backtracking here. The Mox Diamond does come down. It taps. The Bojuka Bog was discarded to the Mox Diamond. casting another Exploration, putting down another Wasteland. I believe there's a Valakut Exploration trigger on the stack. Yes, that is, yep. Counting the number of triggers. There's a lot that goes on, especially when you're dealing with things like Mox Diamond that have discard triggers, things with Valakut Exploration dealing with landfall triggers. There is definitely a lot going on with this deck. All right, so that is the third landfall and the third land that Michael can play for the turn. So he shoots Alan for 1. I do apologize in just a few minutes here. We are going to get some black screen. I lost a little bit of the video, but I will explain it when it comes up. Okay, we see in response to... So this didn't exactly happen the way that it was supposed to. Michael announced that he was going to dredge his life from the loam, and in response, Alan tried to surgical it. It was explained to him that with dredge being a replacement effect, you cannot surgical dredge in response to a dredge effect, but what you can do is surgical it during his upkeep. So that is what he decided to do instead. So we see a surgical extraction pulling the life from the loam out of his graveyard. He gets to check the whole deck, see what the opponent has in store, check for all of those other life from the loams, check the hand as well, and get rid of every copy that he wants to. Kind of an important and awkward distinction. If you're playing MTGO online, you can accidentally miss surgical extraction targets. If you don't click every single one of them, then they stay in the deck. Not that I would know that from experience. All right, Michael has 10,000 lands in play, all of them being basic mountains. We see 2 mana. 2 mana for an expressive iteration. The expressive already in the grave. Shows Steam Vents, gets to put it into play untapped, not taking any damage as it is a basic mountain. 2 mana. 1 mana for a crop rotation. The cost does have to be paid, so the sacrifice land has to go, and it did catch a Force of Will there. Alan really doesn't want Michael having any opportunities and access to any of those nice lands in his deck. We see a Murktide Regent come down with the full 5 counters on it. The 8/8 beater is threatening to end the turn, or end the game in 2 turns. We see another crop rotation. Alan decides to let this one go through, and it's going to be basic forest. So now Michael can tap his 2 Mox Diamonds and that forest for green mana. All right, 1 card in hand. No. Oh, we have to resolve this Valakut Exploration trigger. There is the black. I apologize for that. I think I accidentally stopped recording before the game was over, and I brought it back. We see this is Michael's turn, or Alan's turn. Michael did cast a Sphere of Resistance, making everything cost 1 more to cast, and he also did cast his Companion, put it in his hand and cast it. It's a 3/2 with Vigilance. This is just an extra card that land players play sometimes in order to have an actual finishing win condition. So we see 3 damage coming in here. It does have Vigilance, but it's going to catch a Lightning Bolt, so it's not a huge deal. 3 mana. 3 mana for 2 more Punishing Fires, and that's going to be the game. Just wanted to get in some extra damage before conceding. Okay, hope you enjoyed that round as much as I enjoyed commentating it. Please like and subscribe and join us for round 4. Thank you.